Good gaming, everyone. I'll try not to hold you for too long. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll get you in and out of here faster than you can say $2 trillion underdog. The FTC is in such a vulnerable position due to not being very familiar with the gaming industry and its history. You can tell in many of the lawyers and judges questioning, they're not familiar with many of these titles, if any. Multiple times asking for descriptions of some of the biggest household names in gaming. It's almost memeable. And the fans of the Xbox are no help as they rewrite history in Xbox's favor. Like Xbox wasn't participating in the same exact practices Sony has been during the PS4 and PS5 generation in previous generations. So I'm going to go over a brief history of the quote unquote backdoor deals Xbox has participated in from the moment it entered the gaming industry. First of all, trying to buy a major publisher is nothing new to Microsoft, as they tried to buy Nintendo after it took its first loss in the console market since its rise to prominence in the late 80s. Definitely looks like a slap in the face when you look at what Nintendo is today, on the verge of possibly having the highest selling handheld console in the history of gaming. Imagine where Nintendo would be today if Xbox actually bought them and took them down the same path, which led to Xbox being in last place today. Launching in 2001, the original Xbox had a stellar lineup from exclusive deals they made for games like 2004's Ninja Gaiden Black, 2002's Splinter Cell, which sold 19 million as of 2008 and was one of Ubisoft's flagship titles, and Shenmue 2, which was supposed to be Sega's flagship title and one of the more expensive games ever at the time of release. A game at the time which had groundbreaking design and was admired by gamers on all platforms, including PlayStation. Then you have games like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and Jade Empire, of which the former has been said to have reached $1 billion in revenue as of 3 years ago. A hugely popular game with an almost 20-year lifespan. In 2002, the now Microsoft owned Bethesda launched Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, which at the time was a game changer. Lauded for its scope, it went on to sell 4 million copies in just 3 years. By comparison, Halo Combat Evolved, another Xbox exclusive, which at the time was selling at a record pace, sold 6 million copies in just 4 years. Morrowind never reached PlayStation consoles, and the Bethesda backdoor deals didn't end there, as their following release, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, launched on Xbox's sophomore console, the Xbox 360, in 2006, after Microsoft abandoned the original Xbox early to beat the PS3 to market and get exclusive rights to games, which they did, with Elder Scrolls leaving PlayStation's fans to wait until the following May in 2007 before they could experience it. On August 21st, 2007, 2K Marin launched one of the best games ever made, a game called Bioshock. It received universal acclaim and is still a benchmark and a blueprint for many story based first person shooters till this day. PlayStation fans had to wait more than a year to play it while watching the awards pour in from BAFTA and Game Informer and XPlay. At a time when PlayStation was at its weakest, the Xbox completely dominated the PS3 and PlayStation fans had nothing close to comparable to play. Fans and journalists alike called the PS3 a $600 paperweight, and Sony had no choice but to sit there and take it while it was in last place for multiple years. In 2008, Valve developed and published Left 4 Dead, one of the most popular co op shooters at the time. It was one of the first viral games of the seventh generation. It was on display at every games conference surrounding the release. It also still hasn't reached a PlayStation console. Finally, we have Mass Effect. If you remember when I spoke about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and how it had a long reach in its lifespan, this game was developed by that same studio, BioWare. And though it didn't have the longevity of Star Wars, its impact is still felt today in many sci fi games. And I could go on and on. Lost Planet and Just Cause, Dead Rising, Burnout. I could even go into last gen a few years ago with the Xbox One to show you temporary deals for exclusivity is no reason for Xbox to give up and feel hopeless. Both PlayStation and Nintendo were in last place and couldn't get many, if any, third party deals, and worked their way out by making compelling exclusives and hardware. And if they can do it, so can Xbox. And with all that, I am going to say to the FTC and the judge weighing the case, take this company to task, ask for better, never settle for trash. I'm Boycott, and I'm out.